Hey, all three of you, maybe, that watch the Broken Shifter podcast. Welcome to it. I'm here today by myself. We decided on doing a text-based podcast this week because the Michigan race, there's just not really anything to talk about. But I said it'd be nice to have some audio and something to watch instead of just having text-based thing. So, I'm doing this one solo. Carbon and Caboose won't be here. It's just Hurdon. And I'm going to run through it real quick. This is going to be the shortest podcast we've had all year. And by a long shot. Because, let's face it, Michigan sucked. That's definitely going to be an end-of-the-year award. Boringest race of the year. Well, I don't think boring is the word. I think it's most boring. But anyhow, so let's go through the rundown. And I've got their picks, so I'll be announcing those as well. Stage 1, dominated by Brad. I think he led flag to flag. Stage 2 went to Truex, which I believe was his 15th stage win of the year. He just keeps on racking up playoff points. He's almost guaranteed to make it into round 2 of the playoffs with as many bonus points as he has. I mean, he's not guaranteed. If he DNFs all 3 races, he probably won't, but he's got almost a full race lead on everyone else, and he could win another race, possibly some more stages. The winner was kind of a surprise that came out of nowhere, was Kyle Larson, who kind of been in a minor slump. Hadn't been running bad, just we got so used to seeing him up front, it seemed like a little bit of a slump. The final finishing order was Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Jones, probably a career best. He may have finished second earlier this year, but definitely an improvement. I have a feeling Suarez would have probably been up there if it wasn't for an accident. Ryan Newman posting a top 5, and Trevor Bayne, which Roush never gets top 5s anymore. So we had really only 2 cautions to talk about. And Casey Kane cutting Daniel Suarez off. Nobody's surprised by that. Casey Kane's just, besides his Indianapolis win, which was a fluke because pretty much everybody on the track was wrecked, and he just survived, which is good on him. But he pulls up in front of Suarez. Apparently the spotter cleared him too early, according to what the spotter said on the radio. So apparently that's what happened. But the spotter didn't exactly want to take responsibility for it. He said Suarez looked like he was trying to fall in line and just clipped the back of Kane's car, but everybody saw it on TV. Casey Kane blatantly pulled right up in front of Daniel Suarez, so maybe should have tried to get a little further down the track before pulling up. So Casey Kane in a wreck takes out Suarez, who had a good run. Michael McDowell got spun by Paul Menard. Menard's not been having a great year either. Was pretty fast at Indy, but at the end, nobody was fast at Indy. I think the big thing is Kyle Larson's pass at the end of the race. He went from 4th to 1st with a 3-wide move, and he came over the radio and did a very smart thing, because everybody can listen to everybody else's radio. The drivers can't, but the crew chiefs and the spotters can. So what Kyle Larson said on the radio was, I think I'm going to try and take it 3-wide on the outside and win it. So they relayed that to the leaders. So when the restart happened, they told, I can't remember who was on the outside, it was probably Truex, told him to block high. I could be wrong on that, correct me if I'm wrong. He made a big enough of an opening in the middle where Kyle Larson could just scoot through from the outside lane right between the middle. Had a great restart and just pulled right down into the bottom lane, and that was the end of it. The only thing I didn't like about Larson's win is he started screaming on the radio, "Woo, yeah," thinking he had won it a half a lap before it ended. If he had blown a tire or had a mechanical failure, he would have lost and looked like a complete idiot. It's happened to so many drivers before. Ricky Stenhouse won a race in the Nationwide Series a couple of years back, and he was leading the race coming to the white flag, coming off of turn 4, and he blew up. He wouldn't have won that race, but Edwards was behind him, ran into the oil slick, and couldn't stop to go around him, and hit him so hard it pushed him across the finish line. So I don't like this whole celebrating before you take the checkered flag. So on from that, we're going to Bristol next weekend, and hopefully it will be good. So Carbon's picks, he's picking Clint Boyer to break through and mess the chase up a little bit. His dark horse is Trevor Bayne, who had a phenomenal run this past weekend. Very nice for him. I feel like Roush is on the verge of bankruptcy because they just aren't doing crap this year. And 5-6 years ago, they were a top-tier team. Caboose's picks, he's got the double deuce of Joey Logano, who I believe has won at Bristol before. I'm not sure. And he's got AJ Allmendinger because JTD Daughtry Racing has been pretty good this year, considering what they're working with. I'm impressed with that team. Chris Buescher as well. Chris Buescher, give a nod to him. I believe he finished 6th. And he's been a value fantasy pick on NASCAR.com. So if you play fantasy NASCAR, probably should have picked him about 12 weeks ago. All right, and of course, my picks, I'm going with the Deuce, Bad Brad. We'll take him for the fact that it seems like Penske has found some speed now finally and gotten back to where they were at the beginning of the season. And Brad is historically good at Bristol. And my dark horse, which our rules on dark horses, somebody that hasn't won this year or like won recently or something like that. Like Clint hasn't won in a long time, so he technically could be a dark horse for Carbon. But he's run well. So I'm taking Brad as my main. I'm taking Jamie McMurray as my dark horse because it's been a while since he won. Even though he's run well, still doesn't have that win, and you don't see him leading a whole lot. So those are going to be our picks. And that's the rundown from Michigan. I hope you didn't watch the race and waste 3 hours of your time if it was even that long. Anyways, I'm Hurdon. This is the Broken Shifter Podcast, which hopefully next week will be a lot longer because we have actually something to fucking talk about. Anyways, hope you enjoy. And if you got any comments, leave them below. If you got questions, we'll try and answer them during the next podcast. We check that shit. So, leave us a comment. Leave a like, subscribe. I don't give a shit. Just interact. So, hope y'all have a good one. Take it easy.